Welcome to another Ziva Math video. In this video, we're going to learn about multiplying with decimals. Let's get to our examples. Let's start by multiplying our number with a decimal times a single-digit whole number. So our example is 91 and 5/10 times 7. And when you multiply with decimals, you're going to multiply as if the decimals aren't even there. So we're going to follow the steps for multiplying by a one-digit number. If you need to brush up on your multiplication skills, take a look at the description below this video for our multiplication videos. So back to multiplying with decimals. We're going to multiply as if that decimal point isn't even in our number. So our first step is going to be 7 times 5. And 7 times 5 is 35. So we place our 5 here and we're carrying the 3. Then we're at 7 times 1. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 more is 10. So as you can see, these steps follow just like multiplying whole numbers. So 7 times 1 was 7, plus 3 was 10. Our 0 goes here, and we're carrying the 1. Now we're going to multiply the 7 by the next digit, the 9. 7 times 9 is 63, plus 1 is 64. So now it's time to worry about the decimal. And to place the decimal, we count how many places are behind the decimal points in the problem. So we have one digit behind the decimal point in our problem, and we're going to move the decimal point in our answer that same number of digits. So we're going to move the decimal point over one place in our answer, so our decimal point's going to go here. So our product is 640 and 5/10. In this example, I have 8 and 35 hundredths times 2/10. And I have a decimal times a decimal. And the first thing I want you to notice is that I did not line up my decimal points when setting up my problem. You do not need to line up the decimal points when multiplying. If you're adding decimals, yes, those decimal points need to be lined up. But when multiplying with decimals, you do not need to line up the decimals. The next thing we need to think about is multiplying, because we're going to multiply as if my decimal points aren't even in the problem. So my first step is going to be multiplying the 2 times the 5. And 2 times 5 is 10. So my 0 goes here and I regroup with the 1. Now I'm going to multiply the 2 times the next digit, the 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and I need to add the 1 I just regrouped. 6 plus 1 is 7. Now I'm at 2 times 8, and 2 times 8 is 16. From here, I've multiplied the 2 by all the digits in the first number, so now I'm going to be multiplying by the 0. However, 0 times everything is going to be 0, so I don't need to show the work for that step. Now it's time for us to place the decimal. After you do all of your multiplication, then you're ready to think about where the decimal belongs in your answer. And to place the decimal, I'm going to count how many digits are behind the decimal point in the problem. So in 8 and 35 hundredths, I have 2 digits behind the decimal point. And in 2/10, I have 1 digit. So that's 3 total digits behind the decimal point in my problem, which means in my answer, I need to move my decimal over 3 places. So that's 1, 2, 3. So this is where my decimal point is going to go in my answer. And because the 0 is at the end behind the decimal, we know we don't need that 0 in our answer. So our final answer is going to be 1 and 67 hundredths. In this example, we have 2 and 83 hundredths times 2 and 4/10. And the first thing I want you to notice is that I did not line up the decimal points, because you don't have to line up the decimal points when you're multiplying with decimals. Now we're going to go ahead and work our multiplication steps, because we ignore the decimal points until the very end. So we're going to be multiplying a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number. And if you need to review those steps, check out the videos in the description below for our multiplying whole number videos. because those steps remain the same for the multiplication part. We are going to start with a 4 times 3, just like you would if you were multiplying a 3-digit by a 2-digit number. So 4 times 3 is 12. We'll place our 2 here, and we'll regroup with the 1. Our next step is to multiply 4 times 8, multiply 4 by the next digit. So 4 times 8 is 32, and then we're going to add the 1 that we just carried. So 32 plus 1 is 33. We place our 3 here, and then we carry the 3 that was in the tens place, and we are now at 4 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8, and we're going to add the 3 that we just carried, so we have 11. Now, we've multiplied all of our digits by the 4, so we're ready to move on to the next step. We don't have anything left to multiply by the 4, so we're going to cross the 3 out because we've used it. We're crossing the 1 out because we've used it. We're going to cross the 4 out because we've used it. And we're going to place this 0 here. Now, we're going to be ready to multiply everything by the 2. We're going to start with 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Then we're at 2 times 8. 2 times 8 is 16, so we place our 6 and we carry a 1. Then we're ready to multiply 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. Now we're going to be adding, and we're going to complete all of the steps to the multiplication part before getting to the decimals, including the addition step. So we're adding, starting with 2 plus 0, which is 2. 3 plus 6 is 9. 1 plus 6 is 7, and 1 plus 5 is 6. Now we're ready to place our decimal point, and we do that by going back to our problem, and we're going to count how many numbers are behind the decimal point in the problem. So in 2 and 83 hundredths, we have 2 digits behind the decimal point, and we need to include the digit behind the decimal point in 2 and 4 tenths. So that's a total of 3 places behind the decimal point in our problem, which means in our answer, we're going to moving the decimal 3 places to the left. So 1, 2, 3. And our decimal point is going to go here for a product of 6 and 792 thousandths. In this example, we have 72 and 6 tenths times 4 and 3 tenths. And when you multiply decimals, you don't have to line up the decimal. In this example, you end up seeing the decimals lined up because each number only has 1 digit behind the decimal place. So this just naturally happened. It wasn't something that we did purposeful lining up those decimals. So to start with our multiplication steps, because we deal with the decimal points at the end of our problem, we're starting with 6 times 3. 6 times 3 is 18. Place the 8, we regroup with the 1. Now we're at 3 times 2. We're multiplying the 3 times the next digit. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more. We add the number we regrouped is 7. Now we have 3 times 7. 3 times 7 is 21. At this point, we have multiplied all the digits by the 3. So we have used this one. We're going to cross it out. We have multiplied everything by the 3. We're going to cross it out. And we're going to place our 0 here. And now we're ready to start multiplying by the 4. We start with 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. Place the 4, carry the 2. Now we're at 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 2 more is 10. And then we're at 4 times 7 is 28, plus the 1 we just regrouped with is 29. Now we are done with the 4. We multiplied everything by the 4, and it's time to add. We have 8 plus 0 is 8. 7 plus 4 is 11. Note where I'm carrying the 1 with the 11 here. I put it down with my addition part of my steps. 1 plus 1 is 2. 9 plus 2 is 11. And again, note where I've regrouped that 1. And 2 plus 1 is 3. Now it's time to place our decimal. And to place the decimal, we make note of how many digits are behind the decimal point in the problem. We have 1, 2 digits behind the decimal in our problem because we have to count every single digit in both of the numbers. And that means that we are going to be moving the decimal in our answer 2 places. So 1, 2, our decimal is going to go right here for a final answer of 312 and 1800ths. This example is 17 hundredths times 54 hundredths. And when we multiply decimals, we do not have to line the decimal points up. In this problem, you see them lined up, but that's only because both of our numbers have 2 digits behind the decimal point. So they just naturally end up lining up when we set up our problem vertically. We are going to multiply first, and we'll take care of placing our decimal point in the correct place in our problem at the very end. So we are going to start with 4 times 7. 4 times 7 is 28. We place the 8, we carry the 2, and we have 4 times 1, which is 4, plus 2 more. 4 plus 2 is 6. Our next step would be 4 times 0, and 4 times 0 would be 0. And I'm not going to place the 0 there because that way I just have fewer digits to be looking at in my problem. I don't have anything else to multiply the 4 by, so I'm going to cross out the 2 because I've used it. I'm going to cross out the 4 because I'm done with it now. And I'm going to place the 0 here because now I'm moving on to be multiplying by the 5. And I'll start with 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 35, so I'll place the 5 and carry the 3. Then I'm at 5 times 1 is 5, plus the 3 I just carried. 5 plus 3 is 8. And then I would be at 5 times 0. And 5 times 0 is 0, so I'm done with the 5. We do have one more 0 down there in the bottom number, but 0 times everything is 0. And so I'm not going to be showing those digits either. Now it's time for us to do the addition portion of our multiplication step. And that is 8 plus 0 is 8. 6 plus 5 is 11. I'll need to regroup with that 1. Notice where I'm placing it. I'm placing it in the addition section of our steps. And then 8 plus 1 is 9. Now it's time to place our decimal point. And we place our decimal point at the end, and we do that by counting how many digits are behind the decimal point in our problem. Well, in 17 hundredths, we have 2 places behind the decimal point, and in 54 hundredths, we have another 2 places behind our decimal point, which means in our answer, we're going to be moving that decimal point 4 places to the left. So that's 1, 2, 3, and we do have to move it one more because we have to move it to 4, which means in front of the 9, we're going to be placing a 0. Our decimal point goes in front of that 0, and when we write numbers, we do place a 0 in front of the decimal point if there's not another digit there already. So this is our final answer. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to Ziva Math for more videos.